What is up, everybody? My name is Karsten Hicks, and I'm going to be talking about how the dark web works. This presentation is done through my senior seminar class with my professor, Dr. Fisher. Uh, I wouldn't have been able to do this presentation without writing a big paper. So just got that done, and here we are. But I'm really excited to talk about this, and I hope you guys learned something. So let's get started. What is the dark web? So most people think of the internet every day, like Google, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, and Amazon, Instagram, Facebook, all these things that people go through every day. It's it's normal for us to go through that. But there is a line between the public and then hidden. And that's where the dark web is. It's hidden. So this network is designed to hide from the public. And while it can be a place for legal use where people go sometimes to whistleblow, like people from oppressive countries, it's also used a lot for illegal activities like drugs, weapon sales, identity theft, and cybercrime. Um, my research paper was based around how does the dark web operate as a criminal business and how does law enforcement agencies attempt to stop these illegal transactions. Um, yeah, let's get to the second part. What is involved in the dark web? As I just said, a lot of illegal marketplaces will be selling drugs, weapons, wildlife, stolen data. There's places called red rooms where people watch a live video of someone get tortured and they pay. It's like Twitch or Kick or what I mean, like it's pretty brutal. But uh, law enforcement has developed techniques like honeypots, which are like decoy systems to catch these kind of criminals. They do undercover operations to infiltrate these kind of networks, but it's under the Tor network. So Tor network is this browser, which is like logging in to Safari or Google, but this hides your identity and makes you anonymous as every other user on the Tor browser. Um, so yeah, it sends you through multiple layers that hides your identity. So this makes it very difficult for law enforcement to kind of find out who you are. But studies estimate that the Tor network is 100 times larger than what the surface web is, like Google, Safari, and those things. Next one. The origin of the dark web. So originally, the dark web came through in the 1990s when the U.S. Naval Research Lab created the Onion Router or Tor um, to originally protect government communications. So, like I said, the multiple layers of encryption. Um, it was all the users were allowed to use it anonymously, but in 2002, Tor became public access, which opened the door for legal use on the internet and came in illegal use. But people over time have learned to evolve and to evade law enforcement online, which gives the criminals the ability to operate with little risk of detection. Silk Road. Silk Road's a big statement for um, the dark web kind of area. Silk Road was the first large online drug market. It sold illegal drugs and it had over 21,000 listed items. It was created in 2011 by Ross Ulbricht. I believe he was in college at the time, but it quickly expanded to include counterfeit currency, firearms, and stolen data. This is the huge part was that within 2 years, he made over $217 million from profitable gain off of these kind of transactions that went through. Um, he went under the alias of Dread Pirate Roberts, but in 2013, law enforcement executed Operation Marco Polo, where they had an FBI member gain trust, go into the forums, the marketplace, started, building his way up, became administrator, got access to the transaction files, messages, all those kind of things, and gathered evidence until they cracked him down in October of 2013. But they did find that there was over 1.5 million transactions between people. So this is how it shows that the dark web kind of like runs as a legitimate business. It had listings, like pictures of what they were buying with the quality, customer reviews, international shipping, 24/7 customer support, and it remained criminal. It literally ran like an Amazon, which is out of this world. But, you know, another day. Um, Wildlife, firearms, and trafficking. So after Silk Road, its closure, other markets like Alpha Bay came up, and this is where people got more into wildlife trafficking. So they started selling items like rhino horns, elephant tusks, which cause damage to endangered species. Um, they tried getting into the firearm trafficking, which is also kind of something that they tried stopping, but again, they adapt. Criminals adapt. So they started these things called ghost guns, and they can't be traced back to people. And like there'll be certain parts that 3D printers can make or manufacturers can make that can be listing it not as a firearm just because it has like a little slot not there, but if it had the slot, it'd be listed as a firearm. Um, and that's where it's difficult is that the people doing this are anonymous all through the Tor browser, and if they have a VPN, then their location's hidden too. So they're kind of just off the grid. But this allows encrypted communication within criminals, and these networks are able to operate globally. So, I went through three different types of theories: the routine activity theory, motivated offender, suitable target, lack of guardianship. The motivated offender is someone that is looking to sell, wanting to commit the crime so that they can get something out of it. Suitable target, a vendor, someone that's selling, someone that's trying to exploit someone for their information, steal their crypto wallets, and then lack of guardianship or oversight, which is like a government entity, which we have over like Safari and Instagram. So like law enforcement being able to look over what is being sold or talked about. Um, but since there's Tor, it removes the whole boundary, the guardian. Um, Rational choice, weighing the risk versus rewards. There really are no risks when you have the Tor browser and the VPN. It really comes down to how well you can hide your trace, hide your steps, your trail. Uh, People are willing to sell a lot for little risk and very high reward. Selling pets, selling body parts, selling illegal weapons that could get them years behind bars for extra cash because it will pay well because no one's being tracked down for this. Um, the illegal marketplace is a thriving farmers market essentially. Social learning, I'll go back on that. It's pretty important. Learning and reinforcing criminal behavior online. So this means that people are normalizing the actions that they're committing. So selling illegal weapons, selling body parts, selling anything that can be directed as illegal is being reinforced as normal and good, which shows positive feedback to other people. And that makes them want to keep repeating that because they can get a better status in the community that they're in. No one's shaming them for what they're doing. If anything, they're applauding them and giving them money for it. Um, yeah, so that's how people maintain that kind of community. Methods. This is a good one. Content analysis. So people are able to analyze the listings, reviews, and the behavioral patterns, and that shows where the trends are coming from in the marketplace, the dark web marketplace. The trends of who, oh, like more opioids are being bought than fentanyl. Like what is in the market? What is the trend? What is top of the line right there? Case studies. We talking traces the connections between the users, so you can do that. Blah 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 blah. All right, and last but not least, conclusion. So the ethical dilemmas, digital surveillance, entrapment, AI bias, IACP Code of Ethics guides law enforcement, importance of protecting public safety and privacy, dark web evolves faster than law enforcement. So kind of what I've learned from studying the dark web, it raises ethical questions about what law enforcement has been doing to balance between public safety and cutting into our privacy through surveillance and undercover operations and AI monitoring. Um, entrapment, coercing someone to do something when it is free reign for them to make that choice. An officer acting as a vendor and trying to get someone to buy something is entrapment. And that's where it kind of is dishonest with law enforcement is dishonest with the public, and that's what they're against. Um, it raises tensions between ethical obligations and crime prevention. Like, what are they doing to stop crime? Are they committing a crime and lying to someone to commit a crime? But um, yeah, this was my presentation on how the dark web works. My name is Carson Hicks. I really appreciate it. If you got to the end, thank you for listening. Hope you guys had a good night, and thank you for listening to me. Bye.